Welcome to the Board Game Network. This is James. I'm going to be showing you how to play this game called Forbidden Island, designed by Matt Leacock. 2 to 4 players. Plays 10 years and up, so it's a pretty young, simple game for youngsters and for older people. It's fun for the older crowd also. And you will notice that several of the mechanics from this game are very, very similar to mechanics from Pandemic. So if you like Pandemic, you'll probably like this game also. But there's fewer decision type things that need to be made in this game versus Pandemic. So whereas Pandemic might hit the a little bit older crowd, this one you can play a similar type of game. It's cooperative, like Pandemic, but you can get those younger kids in there to play also. So here's the setup right here. Your goal is to save the 4 treasures and escape from the island before it sinks. So you're going to shuffle the flood deck here. The treasure deck is here, and the adventure cards are here, and this is each character. So the way you set up this island is you put a 4x4 grid out, and you're just going to mix these tiles up and then lay them out in a 4x4, and then put 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. And you want the full color side face up. There's a monochrome color, and that is a flooded tile. So it goes from full color to flooded to sunk. So that's the setup. You place your treasure cards, your treasures out here. There are 2 tiles with each treasure on here. So you're going to take and put the treasure on one of the 2 tiles. You want it to be on a tile that's not going to sink. If you can get it, so you're going to have to protect that tile so that it's not sunk, and so that you can get to it or get to the other one that has the same picture on it. You are going to flip up 6 flood cards, and those tiles will already flood. So we got the Iron Gate, we got the Temple of the Sun, we got the Cliffs of Abandon, we got the Misty Marsh. That is 6. So that's the way you start. So the island is starting to sink. You are going to pass out the adventure cards, mix those up, pass them out. You're going to make sure that you want to read what each special ability is. Like the navigator here says, move another player up to 2 adjacent tiles for 1 action. So you can move another player. The messenger says, give treasure cards to a player anywhere on the island for 1 action. Normally you have to be in the same tile to trade treasure cards. This one can give a treasure card to anybody on the island. So each of them have a different special ability. You are going to draw 2 treasure cards per player, and I just drew a Water's Rise, so that's going to go back in the deck after everybody gets their cards, and you're going to mix the deck back up since that went back in there. And then you're going to set the water level, and if you're a new player, you'll probably want it down here on Novice, but once you get more experience, you're going to try it up on a higher level. That shortens the game and makes it harder to win. You have 3 different actions you can do. You can do them in any order. You can do them multiple times if you want to. You can move orthogonal. So once you got whichever character you got, let's say I'm the messenger. The messenger is going to start out here on the tile that has his color pawn on it, and that's okay that it's flooded. Not a problem. It's okay to be on a tile that is flooded. It is you can't be on a tile that sinks. So flooded is okay. So you can move orthogonal, so that's 1 space, up, down, left, or right, as one of your possibilities for action. You can shore up, and that means flip a tile back to the colored side from the monochrome. So once it's flooded, you can flip it back to the unflooded side. And you can do that up, down, left, or right, or the same tile you're on. You can give a treasure card as long as you're in the same tile as another player. You can give one of your treasure cards to them. You can capture a treasure and the way you do that is have 4 of the same treasure card, and you have to be on one of the spaces that have that picture for that treasure. So if I had 4 of those pictures, I could discard those, pick up the treasure, put it in front of me. I have now captured that treasure, and our goal is to capture all 4 treasures. So those are the 4 different options. Remember, you can do 3 actions, so you can do 3 of the same one or any order you want to. Then you're going to draw 2 cards. If you ever run out of these cards, you're going to reshuffle. You have a 5 card limit on your cards. So if you ever get more than 5 cards, then you're going to discard down to 5. There are special actions in here. So if you have a special action card, you are allowed to play that prior to discarding. So this says shore up any one tile on the island. And this is a special action. It does not take one of your actions from your turn. You can play it any time. So that would allow me to discard that and flip over any tile that was flooded. There is also the helicopter lift, which somebody has to have that to get off, for everybody to make it off the island. And it tells you right here, move 1 or more pawns on the same tile to any other tile, or you can lift the team off of Fool's Landing for the win. So this allows you to fly somebody over to Fool's Landing, or fly somebody somewhere, save them off of a flooded part of the island or something, or it allows you to get off the island and win the game. So those are the 2 special actions. You have 3 helicopter lifts in the deck. You've got 2 sandbags in the deck. There are 5 of each treasure card in the deck. And you have 3 Waters Rise cards in the deck. Waters Rise, when that flips up in one of your 2 draws, you do not replace it, but so that counts as one of your 2 cards you draw, and it tells you what to do. You move the water level up 1. You reshuffle your discard pile from your flooded deck, put it back on top of the deck, and then you discard this card to the discard pile. So you take your 3 actions, you draw your 2 cards, and then the last thing you do on your turn is you draw flood cards. You draw flood cards, and if the flood card deck is out, then you reshuffle. So you flip as many cards as is on the flood level here. So this would say flip 2 cards. And then if this card is not flooded yet, then it floods. So Cliffs of Abandon. And if it is flooded, then it sinks and it's gone. So that is not a usable space any longer. And so you can't be on it, you can't move to it. If your player piece is on there, you can swim to an adjacent space, orthogonal. If there is no adjacent space, then you drowned and game over. Nobody wins. Once you reveal a card that is going to sink, from flooded to sink, you are no longer allowed to play a sandbag on that tile. It's already been revealed. It's too late to play your sandbag. Once the tile has been flooded and sunk, you're going to remove that card from the game also, so it's not going to get shuffled back into the deck. So the way to win is to pick up all 4 treasures. Get all 4 treasures picked up. Everybody needs to move to Fool's Landing. Get everybody there. And then somebody needs to play the helicopter lift to get you off the island. How to lose. There's several ways to lose. The one way is for both treasure tiles to sink that are for a single treasure, both of them to sink before you have that treasure. for Fool's Landing to sink. If Fool's Landing is sunk, then it's kind of hard to use it to get off the map, right? Or if a single person drowns, or if the water level gets up to the skull and crossbones. So that is Forbidden Island by Matt Leacock. Simple version of the simple game. Very straightforward. Not a lot of choices to sit there and ponder over and think, like maybe Pandemic has a lot more choices of how, well, I can do this kind of move, I can do that kind of move, I can fly, so there's a lot of choices. This one, not as many choices. You do notice that the mechanism of flipping cards over and then shuffling them, putting them back on, that's in Pandemic. Having different character abilities there, that they can all do something. That's kind of from Pandemic, or is in Pandemic. The moving up the water level is kind of like Outbreaks in Pandemic, where you lose after so many outbreaks. So it is a different game from Pandemic though. So if you have Pandemic and you like Pandemic, you probably like this one too. And it's just a simpler game. A little bit shorter also than Pandemic, but it also allows that younger crowd in there to play something like this. It's a little bit too hard, maybe too hard for Pandemic. So that is Forbidden Island. Make sure you tune into all of our videos at the Board Game Network. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/BoardGameNetwork. And like us on Facebook at facebook.com/BoardGameNetwork.